Welcome back to Preservation Travels with Lane and Kevin here at our Restoration Nation. Today, we're bringing you a fine federal townhome. Well, here we are back in our beloved Natchez, Mississippi, and we have the opportunity to bring you an absolutely extraordinary federal townhome built in 1836. We can't wait to take you inside and show you all of the original details that are still extant in this property, original wavy glass, mantelpieces, but a thoroughly modern, functional home. So come inside and see this beautiful Natchez townhome. Welcome to Garden Song. Garden Song is a 3-story federal townhouse located at 705 Washington Street in the heart of Natchez's historic garden district. Garden Song was built in 1836 by Edward Fourniquet, a Frenchman who was a banker, an attorney, and a businessman. Monsieur Fourniquet was married to Harriet, and he built several homes in the vicinity of Garden Song. In the 1830s, Natchez's economy was booming and the town was experiencing a housing shortage. Monsieur Fourniquet saw an opportunity and he quickly built 4 houses in a very non-traditional way. Contracting with a company in Cincinnati that had just begun manufacturing kit homes long before Sears and Roebuck, he purchased 4 of these kits and had them floated down the Mississippi River on flatboats, a primitive type of barge, 1 house per vessel. These are considered, therefore, to be some of the earliest prefab houses in America, all built with beautiful handmade components that are similar, such as doors, staircases, and mantels, but each house is unique. All are still standing, all on the north side of Washington Street. Garden Song, a 3-story house, is on the corner of Washington and South Rankin Streets. A 3-story house next to it, and a smaller 2-story house on the corner of Washington and South Commerce Streets are the kit houses built by Monsieur Fourniquet. The story is told that Monsieur Fourniquet went down to Silver Street at Natchez under the Hill every morning to check on the houses as they were being unloaded from the flatboats docked along the river onto wagons to be pulled up the hill by teams of oxen to their building sites on Washington Street. Each kit consisted of pre-measured lumber marked in chalk at every 1-foot length, along with other building components, instructions, and floor plans. Once unloaded, the flatboats were likely dismantled to provide wood for other building components as needed, since without motors, the boats could not be taken back upriver. Many houses in Natchez are in fact made out of the lumber salvaged from these flatboats.
This episode is brought to you by Curiosity Stream. It's the best place to find and watch documentaries about history, travel, technology, nature, and so much more.
Curiosity Stream has exclusive award-winning films and shows, plus they have the deepest library of documentaries anywhere in the world, deeper than you can find on any of the other streaming services.
And Curiosity Stream adds new shows every week.
Curiosity Stream is the entertainment brand for people who want to know more, like us, right?
Like us. Available to watch on all your favorite streaming devices, on the web, on TV, through Roku, Xbox, smart TVs, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more. And on all your mobile devices.
And what I like about it is it's available worldwide, so any of our viewers anywhere can enjoy Curiosity Stream.
What are you watching right now?
Right now, I'm watching The Nile, 5,000 years of history.
That's a lot of history.
I love ancient Egypt. What are you watching?
I'm actually watching The Story of Math right now. I just started watching it because I thought it sounded funny, but it's really, really interesting.
Go to curiositystream.com/restoration for your unlimited access to the world's best streaming service of documentaries and nonfiction series. And for our fans only, use code restoration at checkout and get 25% off.
So click the link below or just go to curiositystream.com/restoration to get 25% off.
On one of these mornings, in a story passed down from the original residents of Garden Song, Monsieur Fourniquet discovered that one of the flatboats was missing. Undoubtedly, thieves had stolen it during the night, probably the result of a little too much whiskey at one of the watering holes at Natchez under the hill, known during the time as a rough place where debauchery was common and many a legend was born. It's humorous to imagine the French words being spoken that morning by Monsieur Fourniquet, probably not merci or vive la France. The story goes that he found the sheriff, who immediately dispatched a posse of deputies by boat. The thieves were soon apprehended, passed out on the flatboat, and their attempt to take the boat downstream, likely to be sold in St. Francisville or Baton Rouge, was foiled. A team of oxen using thick rope cables pulled the flatboat back to Natchez along a path at the river's edge used to pull barges short distances, and all was well. It is said that Monsieur Fourniquet never revealed which house it was, making it a 1 in 4 chance that Garden Song began its life as a stolen house. Edward and Harriet Fourniquet never lived in Garden Song, however. It was strictly built as a business venture, so an early spec home, and the house was quickly sold to Dr. Abbott and his family. Edward and Harriet undoubtedly did well with the 4 houses as they built Greenleaves across the street a couple of years later, again using prefab building components from Cincinnati, and they made Greenleaves their home. The Abbott family moved into Garden Song in 1836, and it remained in the Abbott family until 1959. Dr. Abbott made the downstairs study just beyond the front parlor his office, and it is said that patients would wait in the front parlor, and the existing bookcases on either side of the fireplace were at that time arched doorways with locking doors into the study. Patients would enter to the left of the fireplace and exit through the door on the right. Very likely, trade of chickens, pigs, vegetables, flour, and more constituted the majority of payments to Dr. Abbott. To care for his patients, Dr. Abbott kept a large outhouse containing 6 seats in the backyard along the fence, where a beautiful fountain now stands. He also had a small stable in the backyard for his horses, as he needed them for house calls. And the garden building is originally the site of the outdoor kitchen, kept separate from the house in those days because of danger of fire. Dr. Abbott and his wife lived upstairs in the front bedroom and utilized the second bedroom and an upstairs back porch for their children. It is thought that the 3rd floor was used as an attic, although access by the lovely original 3-story staircase was not built out until the 1960s, although it possibly could have been used for overflow sleeping when needed. Dr. Abbott died in the 1880s and passed Garden Song to his grandson, William Abbott, who had grown up in the house. William had recently married a lady from the north named Martha, and they proceeded to make Garden Song their home. Martha very much wanted to fit into Southern society, and as all ladies do, she wanted to make the house hers. She wanted a dining room for entertaining, and she also wanted to update the house by changing its style to Victorian, which had replaced the Federal style in popularity. She also wanted more than just a front stoop, as is evidenced by an early picture of the house from the 1860s, showing that it had no porch. This is where the history of the house takes an interesting turn. The Federal windows with their wavy glass, beautiful paneled doors, elegant mantels, even the lovely fanlight over the door are all original. The 3 doors and locks in Dr. Abbott's study, now a downstairs den or second main bedroom, are all original and the locks still work. The locks were made for the house in 1836 by a famous locksmith named Reese Fitzhugh, known to have made the first commercially produced Bowie knife, inspired by the famous knife Jim Bowie used to defend himself from 3 attackers while attending a duel on a sandbar in Vidalia, as duels were illegal in Natchez. Ironically, Bowie is also famous for his last stand at the Alamo, fought in 1836, the same year Garden Song was constructed. The federal mantels, windows, and doors have had an interesting journey. Martha Abbott ordered them removed in the 1890s as she remodeled the house, making it more Victorian. We'll solve the mystery of this a little later in the story. Martha also had the double front galleries installed, in addition to the 2 lovely 2-story bay windows, salvaged from a large house named Sunnyside that once stood in the vicinity of Auburn at Duncan Park, but burned in the late 1800s. The most significant of Martha's modifications to the house is the dining room, which happens to be the oldest room of the house, added in 1890. So how is this the oldest room of the house? Well, William obviously loved his Martha. The story is told that he went riding south of town one day and discovered a 1-room frame house built prior to Mississippi's statehood, prior to 1817, and decided that it would make a lovely dining room for his wife. He had it carefully dismantled, moved on wagons, and rebuilt where it is today. Ironically, Martha didn't change the windows as she did in the rest of the house. The 3 original windows facing the formal garden are original to the house, as are the floorboards. Martha also requested that a small kitchen be built onto the dining room as an interior kitchen. She didn't like the idea of having to go outside to the kitchen. The small room is still in use today, now as a half-bath, butler's pantry, and laundry room, and the current kitchen was added in the 1960s. William and Martha had several children, but only 2, their son Sam and an adopted daughter Daisy, survived childhood. The story of Daisy is quite interesting. While a little girl, it's told that she was traveling with her family on a steamboat on the Mississippi River when the boat caught fire. Her parents perished, but she was rescued, and William and Martha adopted her, and she left her mark permanently on the house. Likely using a diamond ring, she carved her name into a window in the dining room, one of the closest to the kitchen facing the garden, and it remains there to this day. William and Martha lived many happy years in Garden Song. Together they started a publishing business, and some of the Abbott family lived across the street in a brick cottage now owned by Mac and Meg Hazlitt, who own 601 Salvage, our favorite salvage place in Natchez. Their son Sam grew up in this business, and in the 1920s, when he was in his early 20s, he decided to move from Natchez to New York, where he went into the newspaper business as a reporter. Sam's specialty was the early entertainment industry, covering the stars of America's silent movies, and being there as silent changed to talkie. Sam remained in New York until the motion picture industry began making its move to California. In the early 1940s, Sam's employer, Billboard magazine, asked him to open and manage their brand new office on Sunset Boulevard in the new headquarters of Hollywood. He did just that and continued to work for Billboard until his retirement in the 1970s. During his time in Hollywood, Sam befriended many stars, including Walt Disney, and a gentleman who would become famously connected to Garden Song, the famous Clark Gable. After filming Gone with the Wind and enjoying the success that followed, Mr. Gable became quite fixated on Natchez and enjoyed visiting often. When he visited, it was said that as a guest of Sam, he would stay in Garden Song in the 40s and 50s. At that time, the second-floor bedroom with a guest bath added on to a portion of the old back porch had become a guest room, and it was in this room that Clark Gable stayed on several occasions while a guest of Sam's. By the 1950s, Sam started visiting less and less. By then, both William and Martha had passed away. Sam saw to it that his mother's obituary was run nationally in Billboard magazine, an honor reserved mostly for the movers and shakers of Hollywood. Daisy no longer lived in Natchez either, having moved at some point to Hollywood also, likely taking a job with the help of her adopted brother. Even while living in California, she returned when they needed her and saw to their burials in the Natchez City Cemetery. In the late 1950s, Sam rented Garden Song to a family who loved it dearly and hated having to move when he finally decided to sell it, ironically, to another doctor, Bob Barnes, and his wife Bettina in 1959. Together with their growing family, eventually consisting of 5 daughters, the Barneses undertook a major renovation of the house. As explained by Bob and Bettina Barnes, Dr. Barnes bought the house as a surprise for his wife. Bettina immediately expressed a desire to restore the house to its original condition. She didn't quite approve of Martha Abbott's Victorian renovation. She says it looked like a remodeled Victorian mess and should be given back to its federal dignity. Dr. Barnes turned to Sam Abbott for help and asked him if he could share pictures of what the house looked like pre-remodeling. Sam said he could do better than that. His forward-thinking father, William, had thoughtfully refused to throw away the original windows, mantels, doors, and fanlight, and had even saved the shutters. He had them carefully marked and stored away in a barn of an Abbott family property, Selma Plantation, located north of town near what is now the intersection of Natchez Trace and Highway 61. Sam had the items loaded onto a truck, and they were carefully delivered to the Barneses, freely given. And Bob and Bettina began the meticulous task of putting every item back in its original location, down to the fanlight over the front door and the shutters on the front porch. William Abbott's Roman numerals? Well, they can still be found on the tops of the shutters. Garden Song is a home that has been deeply loved, valued, appreciated, and cared for over many generations. Now, she's looking for a new caretaker, the next family to love and care for her. Will that be you? If it is, all of her listing details are in the description below. Click that Zillow link and let the realtor know you're the next caretaker of beautiful Garden Song. We hope you've enjoyed this look inside this one-of-a-kind 1836 masterpiece. I absolutely adore these townhomes here in Natchez with this much history. Go inside them and it really feels like you're in one of the grand homes in one of the great cities in Europe, London or Paris. They're absolutely exquisite, and they're right here in Little Natchez, Mississippi, just waiting for you. And you can't deny that this outdoor space makes this house worth the money, and then so much more. If you're a gardener and you're looking for a beautiful city and a beautiful people to retire to, what could be better than this? Check out the listing details in the description below. Again, we're not the realtors. We're not representing this property in any way. We're not trying to sell you this property. We just want to show you an incredible piece of Natchez history that happens to be for sale. So if you're the next caretakers of this property, reach out to the realtor today and come make Natchez your hometown. We'll see you next time.